Hello, I'm Shannon.
And I'm Stacy.
And we're from Christian Adoption Coaching. And today we are going to share with you some things not to say to adoptive children or their parents. Speaking of that, which one is your child?
That's a great topic for you.
Yes, it is, because I have biological children and I have adoptive children. And if you ask me how many children I have 5 children. Now, the reason we talk about adopted children here is because we're talking about adoption. I have no problem talking about adoption and the excitement of it, but when you ask me which ones are my real children,
or which ones are adopted,
it kind of can be rude. I'll just be honest with you. It's kind of rude. Mm-hmm. In my family, it's kind of obvious who's adopted. 3 of my boys are half Honduran, and so they have that beautiful caramel macchiato skin, and I'm albino. So yes, that it's pretty easy to tell when I have all 5 of my children together. You wouldn't necessarily know that otherwise, but I don't mind telling you which ones are adopted if we have a relationship or if you can't really tell. And if you're thinking I just cheated on my husband.
I was going to bring that up.
Or, we get lots of looks. Yeah. We get lots of looks for our children.
Yeah. That used to be one of my paranoias that people would think.
Yes.
I had
before my husband passed away, most people would ask about them being adopted, and now they just think that they're mine, and that's perfectly fine because they are mine.
Yep, absolutely.
So,
yep.
How do you feel about that beautiful question?
Well, I feel the same way you do. I don't really have that interaction because all of my children are placed for adoption, but it makes me cringe when I hear people say that because, when you have the right mind of thinking, there really isn't a different thinking.
Yeah. Yes, they're our babies.
Yeah, they're our babies.
And if you ask them, they'll tell you, oh, she calls me her baby.
Yeah.
Because I do.
Right.
All right. So if you have questions about that or comments, feel free to drop them below. We would love to answer them. And I get that you're curious, but your curiosity can sometimes pierce our hearts. And
I'd rather that you were curious here.
Yes, be curious here. Ask all you want. We're going to be as open and transparent as we feel we can be.
Right.
We still have kids. Like, they're living, breathing people, and we don't want to humiliate them. And we pretty much so adore our children. Mm-hmm. So, but we really are trying to be pretty transparent here.
How about, he's so lucky that you adopted him. He doesn't know how blessed he is.
Okay. So we both have kind of a problem with that one because, to be honest with you, I feel like I'm the lucky one that I have all these babies, all 5. And I don't think, you're so wonderful to adopt them. It was always my heart's desire. I feel like this is what God had for us. We were planning on adopting 1 child, and God gave us 3. 3 for 1 is what I tell my boys. You're a 3 for 1 special. Like, we were planning on 1, and we got a sibling set of 3 full biological brothers, because if you see them, you'll be asking. And if you want to see what our children look like, www.christianadoption-coaching.com. Like, seriously, we're very open there. We have a rainbow fruit flavors of children. Like, we really do. But when you say things like that, I am their real mom. I'm the mom. My kids told me the other day, it was really kind of sad, that they lost their biological mom, they lost their biological dad, they lost their adopted dad, and they only have me. Mm-hmm. And that's a heavy burden, which is a whole nother topic, and we will get into that, and these will start leaking. And we'll mess up the makeup, and I don't want to do that. So But how do you feel when people say, "Oh, you're so lucky to have them"? They're so lucky.
Lucky to have me.
Yes.
I kind of talked about this in one of my little videos a few days ago, but I my heart just drops, and I think my husband feels similar because our answer always is, no, we're the blessed ones, or we don't answer at all because we're just like, we don't know what to say. What do you say to that? I mean, you either sound like you're patting yourself on the back or you're being artificial or something like that. And I think the reason why it just breaks my heart is because sometimes my children are within listening of a statement like that, even though they whisper it so they can't hear it. But they do hear it and they know what's going on. And I hate to call BS on them in person, on the person, because I know they're trying to be.
They're trying to be nice.
We know
you're trying to be nice. We do.
Yeah.
We know you're trying to be nice.
But I also don't think they realize that they're saying my children wouldn't have been up to the level that they are if they didn't have me, or there's some deficit with my children.
Yeah.
And there isn't. I mean, my children are amazing and they're incredible human beings, and it didn't matter where they were homed. I mean, and the other reason why I say that, because my situation is different, because I have children that were adopted privately, but a majority of my children's families could have raised them, and they could have done a dang good job raising them. I mean, they just chose something different for them. And I think not only is it downplaying my children's abilities, but I also think it's downplaying their other parents' abilities.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like I said, they chose us, and it wasn't for lack of ability of being a good parent. I mean, a lot of them have proven that they're very successful people and also very good parents now.
Yeah, that's amazing. So those of you who may not know our stories, foster to adopt, all three, one adoption, one time, one big humongous time, went from 2 kids to 5 kids overnight. Stacy did privates, and they're like one at a time.
Right.
And so she didn't get multiples at a time. So we feel like we kind of have a very broad spectrum of it. She's way better at the paperwork. I did it once. I don't know how she did it multiple times.
Yeah, and you have the foster to adopt experience, where I have the private infant experience.
Yes.
And then we have the toddler, or I don't know, 3-year-old experience.
Yeah.
One of our kids came when he was 3. And then we also have the kind of foster to adopt experience, but it was through private.
Yeah.
So.
And my boys were 2.5 and 3.5. So all 3 boys, 13 months apart. And so those are the kind of the things. And she got them at babies, and I wish I'd have had mine at baby, but God gave them to me when we were all ready, and I can't say I would change. I mean,
you can't.
You
when
can't.
you put God into the picture, I think both of us just waited and listened. I mean, it was just like doing this. I mean, you just wait and you listen, and he tells you when to go.
He does.
So, let me see. Oh, this one's for me.
You'll probably get pregnant now that you're, adopting a child. Or 5,
Yeah. This isn't a huge one. I just don't think people understand the infertility process and how wounded you are, probably, for a long time, not being able, questions why you can't have children and what have you. You're just, when you say something like that, I know you're trying to be joyful and funny and whatever else you're trying to be. And I've said it, so I'm just as guilty. But you're also opening a scab, picking out a scab and kind of hurting my feelings. And also, if you've adopted, you're probably going through the discernment period of, do I want biological kids, or is that going to hurt my first child? Do I want that kind of conflict going on in my family? And so you're kind of tugging on somebody's heart and mind and soul on making a decision on that. Do I wish for a biological child or do I not?
which is crazy because I had 2 biological children, and when I was 17, I was told I wouldn't have children. Then I got married, and Ashley, my oldest, was born right before our first anniversary, so obviously I could. So years of trying, 3 years later, I had a second child, and during that time I'd had surgeries and all kinds of hormone stuff, and so I was told I wouldn't have kids, had 2 kids, and then I asked my husband when we were going to adopt, and he's like, wait a minute. We knew we were going to have to adopt because you couldn't have kids, but you had them, so what? And it took us a while to get on the same page, but when we were, we had to decide, and we had many talks with our kids. Are you going to be okay not being my favorite girl or my favorite boy? Are you going to be okay sharing this and having it? And they have been the best. Older brothers and sisters, and they are all siblings. They act like siblings.
Very much so.
They're built like each other. The boys, all my boys are freakishly strong.
And all of your boys are like mini Marks.
Yes.
I mean, the same body type.
Same body type.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe mine too. No, I'm just kidding. They're not fat. None of them.
No.
But it's crazy how God just, he just knows. And he picked those babies out for us, each of us. And if you've adopted, you'll understand that. And if you haven't adopted and you're wanting to adopt, he will do it for you. It takes a lot of patience. It really does.
It does.
It's not the easiest thing we've ever done.
No.
By any stretch
But
of the
it's
imagination.
definitely been the most rewarding.
Oh, by far.
Yep.
Why was your baby given up? Why didn't they want her?
Yeah.
Why didn't they want her? Ugh.
Yeah. Well, this is
him.
This is a hard question, no matter what scenario you are in, because first of all, and I know this is just words, and some people will say, well, it's just words, but children are always placed; they're not given up, no matter what. And there's a variety of circumstances that this takes place. Some of them, the mom just would prefer to have a 2-parent household. And that's just, she's not ready. She's not ready for that. Some moms aren't financially ready and just have decided this is just a bad time in life for them to have a child. Some women don't want to be moms.
Yeah.
They want to give this child life. They want to give them a place in this world. They want to watch them from afar, but they don't want the responsibilities of parenthood.
Yeah.
And then there are some that don't have a choice. And it may sound like they're given up, but they're not. They're placed in a better environment, sometimes by that parent, by relinquishing their rights, and sometimes, unfortunately, forced a little bit. But it's never giving up somebody that is put into an adoptive home. It's setting up somebody for success for the most part. Now, the system, which I've read so much about, the system's broken sometimes, and there are negative scenarios of this whole thing, unfortunately, because not every system, it's all human-made and not God-made. But ideally, a child is not given up.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
I feel like I was chosen for them, and they were chosen for me. And placed, chosen. They're good synonyms, but most of the time, like in my situation, it was through foster care. These kids did nothing wrong. At 4 months old, you can't do anything wrong. They have, and the hardest thing about this, the hardest for me preparing, was knowing that I watched Little Orphan Annie so many times. One of my cousins was adopted on my 4th birthday, or placed with them on 4th birthday. I don't know if that was her. I guess it was her gotcha day. I have other cousins that were adopted. Like, adoption was a big thing growing up. So I always knew I wanted to adopt, but something bad had to happen to my babies in order for me to get them. And that was hard. I knew getting children that there was going to be trauma. And that's probably what made it the hardest for me. Like, I don't feel like they were given up. I feel like they were chosen for me. But even with that, there's always baggage, no matter what. Right. Good baggage, bad baggage. Yeah. I don't know. Is there good baggage? I mean, I guess there's like really nice luggage, but the baggage, what was thrown into some of our kids' bags, they didn't have any control over.
Yeah.
And some of them have had it a lot harder than others.
Right. And you have to remember that when a child is placed or whatever for adoption, they had zero choice, and being open and recognizing that is huge. Yes. And I think it hasn't been a topic of conversation in the past, and in the last 5 or 10 years, it's become more of a conversation that you realized, no matter how much of a gift you are to these kids, they still had some form of loss.
Absolutely. And a huge one. And, another one, next question, what if she wants to find her real mom or he wants to find his real mom? First of all, we go back to one of the other questions. That's, I am his real mom. And the only kids that don't get me saying, oh, wait, me, when they say real mom, are my boys. And then I will be like, excuse me? But their birth mom is their real mom, and so am I.
Right. You can share a title.
You can. It's crazy. And so I'm not offended by that. They will. They probably will want to. I don't. But here's what I ask them, my boys. Tell me. Don't keep me in the dark. Let's go through this together. Let me help you through this. Let me know. Just because it will make my heart feel better. It will make your heart feel better knowing that you're not having to keep anything from me. We have found, even though my adoption is closed, my boys have found a few people that they are related to. And that's been good. It's been good for them. But if they choose to go find their birth mom or birth dad, that's their choice. I think in the society we live in right now, it's unrealistic for them to, if you say, no, you can't do it, no, you can't do it, you made it forbidden fruit. And I don't know about you, but the first time the doctor says, I'm sorry, you can't eat after midnight, at 12:01, I'm starving. You always want what you can't have. It doesn't matter. Right. And so if I would have said, no, I think it would have made them be like, well, screw you, Mom. I'm going to go. So I feel like being open with it.
Oh, yeah. I think it also, though.
And watching you has helped. Because I was scared to death. And she had all these open adoptions. And first time her kids are like, well, I saw my real mom. And my boys are like, dude, what's happened? I'm like, whoa. Different types of adoption. We'll talk about it over. Or, when we're home. And they were like 7. Yeah, so they were young and they had never heard of that. Like, what?
Right. Yeah, I agree. And you've done a good job with it. I mean, kind of walked them through it. And like you said, I don't think you ever gain anything by not sharing that role with your kids, because you're offering that woman or man the respect that they deserve in front of your child. And I mean, I genuinely believe it. No matter what happened or what was done, that person deserves at least some form of respect.
Oh, they gave me my most prized possession. I agree.
Yeah.
We pray for their biological parents and families. Am I perfect at doing that? No, don't even think that I am. But we do talk about them. I get asked questions. We have a few pictures. I told the boys, stop playing with the pictures. Let's frame them, because this is all I've got. And if you ruin this is it. So we scan them and we made copies. But, I mean, you just try to do what you can. And
it's a process.
It is.
Because I remember the very, when we started this 23-ish years ago.
Oh, my goodness. 23.
That thought terrified me. Terrified me. What if he decides that he wants to go live with her?
What if he likes her better than me?
Yeah, because the chances are he's going to, because I'm everyday mom. She's fun mom.
Absolutely.
So
rules, boundaries. They don't go over very well with teenagers.
Yeah, they don't. But I've found probably over, it took 5 or so years, that learning to share that role is okay. It's okay to share the role with another being because they are just as special as I am to that child. I mean, they are connected to that child in a way that I can't imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, you can imagine, I guess, but I can't imagine.
Yes, you can, because think of how you're connected to your mom.
That's true.
So you do have it. I mean,
a little bit different.
It's different, yes, absolutely, but you do have a little bit of that, like, oh.
And I would say, like, until about 4 or 5 years ago, my rule was you should never say to an adoptive mom, what about his mom? Even not real mom. What about his mom? I always had the rule, that's my privilege. You don't call her mom. I get to call her mom, but you don't get to. But now I'm even fine with that.
Yeah.
Because I had to come to the reality that it doesn't matter.
Yes. When our kids get hurt, they call them us.
Well,
we're the ones that are there every day. Yeah. And like she said,
it doesn't matter. I mean, we're just completely two different roles. And I have a couple of kids that relate with their moms.
Yes.
And there are times that they've related with them in different scenarios that maybe they were better suited for.
I love that.
And that's okay. You know?
You're amazing.
My oldest son was his mom's best man at her wedding.
Oh. I love that.
So
I love that.
All right. Eyes are leaking, so let's move on.
All right, which one are we on?
I think this one. This one's
that's
yours.
for me.
I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
Why in the world did you adopt? You already have 2 kids, and you have a boy and a girl.
Oh yeah, I had that perfect little American family.
You did.
1 girl, 1 boy.
You did.
Yes. I kind of hit on that a little bit earlier, but it's the truth. I've always loved kids. We're both teachers by trade. And then when I went from 3 to 5, I finished that school year and I was done. I was done. But I'm telling you, there was just something in my heart. There was something like inside of me. I just knew it. Like, and it was crazy when I was going to start doing adoption. I talked to Mark and he was like, are you kidding me? And then I just kept praying, and normally I'm really mouthy and loud and like, I want this. But one area I never pushed my husband on was kids. I didn't want a donor. I wanted a daddy for these kids, any kids. And so even the first 2, we desperately wanted. And we did that together. So I thought, if we're supposed to adopt, either God will make my heart stop yearning and he'll fulfill it in a different way, or we'll end up adopting. I actually worked with youth for like 15 years, and I honestly thought there'd probably be some kid that dropped off a baby at my front door someday, just because crazy random things happen like that to me. And so we were really praying about it. Every song we sing at church talked about an orphan. Every like, we got a new doctor, and he was going to Ethiopia or a pediatrician, and he was going to Ethiopia to adopt their first of the many that they adopted. And then her husband was my husband and I's doctor, and they were adopting their 5th child. Like, literally everywhere we turned was adoption. We had just moved to a new town, and my husband was like, I think we are supposed to adopt. And then he was like, I think it may not just be 1. And he and I were like, oh, what are we doing?
Never mind.
We heard about these boys on the day we got licensed. The social worker said, well, too bad your house is too small. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she said, one of your bedrooms is 1 yard too small, and the other ones aren't big enough. And she said, and I said, well, why does that matter? And she said, well, I had 2-year-old twins and a 3-year-old. I want to place with you. So she left. I cried. We got a new house. We have 5 kids. How's that?
There you go. And I guess it kind of dawned on me while you were talking that, I mean, this question's very similar to, as far as emotions, it's very similar to maybe you'll get pregnant. Because it's something that's very deep between you and your spouse and God.
Yes.
And you really don't belong there. And that's, no.
Yeah. And if you're, I mean, like, you can ask us those questions, but be careful because those things, they're our heart.
Yeah, and if I want to, like, you would share your story to anybody.
Tell everybody.
And I would have shared my story to anybody. But I don't think it's a story that you should always request.
Yeah. I get
How's
it.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
And honestly, you just heard 2 moms. And this is a huge disclaimer. Some people, they don't want to ever talk about that their child's adopted. Like, at our house, it's like, whoop, whoop, it's adoption day. Like, we love it. It's a celebration word in my house. Other houses, not so much. Other people will tell you, oh, that one's adopted, and, you know, and they can make big deals about it, and that's on them. But some people are really, really sensitive about it. And I guess what we're trying to say is be respectful. Ask if you, actually, most of the time, don't ask. Like,
Right.
if you think they're adopted, they probably are. And if their parents had an affair, do you really think they want to talk about it?
Exactly.
Probably not.
Exactly.
And it's none of your business.
Right. Well, and some homes aren't, I would like to think of our homes as very nurturing and embracing of the adoption, but some homes aren't.
Yeah.
And if the child hears you ask some of these questions, their home might not be as kind in their home, and then you're ripping that lack of kindness even more.
Yeah.
And just hurting somebody that's already hurt from a complete stranger.
Yeah.
So, over the years it's evolved, but adoption hasn't always been very well handled in all adoptive families. How's that?
Very well. Very well. And unfortunately, we know those of you who have been adopted and had horrible situations, our hearts break for you. Like, literally. I'm not even gonna lie, I had no idea most of that was going on. I've been reading some of your stories. Wow, like, not okay, not even a little bit okay. And know that we're coming from the opposite side, and all we want to do is inform people and help people because adoption is going to continue happening. Mm-hmm. You know, I think I say this in almost every video. 30% of people in the United States want to adopt. Only 2% are doing it. Only 2. So we're here to help. We want to help you not entertain. Oh my. We want to help you by giving you education, by telling you, like, our hearts, like, we just bared our hearts to you. Mm-hmm. And there are people who, like you said, are going to feel completely different. But we're here to help you if you want to adopt. The paperwork is crazy. Some of the requirements are crazy. This chick, she's got it down. Like, she understands it. She knows it. And then we're working through that. We are here if you have adopted, and sometimes some people have problems bonding with their babies. Some people have problems with other things. Like, literally, I didn't have problems because I have kids laying on top of me all night long. Bonding wasn't a problem when you have little kids. But sometimes it is, and sometimes you're holding this baby and you're like, oh my gosh, what have I done? Mm-hmm. That happens. It happens. Mm-hmm. So we're here to help you through this. Sometimes there's so much trauma that happened while they're pregnant or at the first years of their life. You're going to deal with it for the rest of your life. And we want to be there to support you and say, hey, been there, done that, or know somebody who's been there. Let's help you through it. We don't have all the answers, but we will absolutely be here to walk beside you.
That's right.
And guide you.
And if you're listening to this and you prayed about it and you're like, I need those women. I don't know if there's anybody out there, but anyway, I need those women. Go to www.christianadoption-coaching, and there's a little button or there's several of them actually. I'm still working on it, so don't get frustrated if one doesn't work, then go to another one.
It's a process.
And schedule some time with us, and we can help you sort through it and help you decide what you need, whether you need that support to even take the leap of faith and adopt, or if you have adopted and you need somebody to walk along beside you and let you know, been there, or this is what I would do, or this is what I'm hearing you say. Have you tried this? We would love to talk to you. So
Yes.
click on our website, follow us on social media.
Go on everything.
Yeah. See if you like us. If you do, holler at us. Give us an
Like,
idea.
subscribe, share.
I think you can write down below this thing too, below this video, if you want to write something down there. If you're watching us on YouTube, I think you're supposed to click like so we can stay on YouTube.
And subscribe.
Oh yeah. Woo woo. I don't know if you can subscribe yet.
I don't know if you can subscribe.
I don't think we
yet
have
either.
100 people yet.
Oh, well, we would like to get to 100 people so we can have subscriptions, please.
We are technologically handicapped, so
We're challenged.
challenged. Yeah,
Challenged.
So please bear with us.
Actually, she's not.
All right. You wanna close us with a prayer?
Father God, we just thank you for this time that we can come here and just talk about your children. And we just pray right now for those who are considering adoption and those who have adopted. Lord, I just pray right now that you will just put a passion in their heart, that you will light a fire in them, and that if this is your will, that you will just guide them and direct them. And we just love you and we thank you for how absolutely amazing you are. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Blessings. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Christian Adoption Coaching Podcast. Come join us at Christian Adoption Coaching Community at www.christianadoption-coaching.com. That's christianadoption-coaching.com. And visit us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest. Have a blessed day.